it is downright dangerous, and what is happening is almost Orwellian about it. That the left is behind it is not surprising at all, because these are the people. You see, why are people scared of a confrontation of ideas? It is because they somehow are not sure about their own ideas. You know, they suffer from this inferiority complex. Now, which is what I believe if all communists and leftists do, because I mean they have to. They are professing an idea, a thought that they know any nation that imbibed it has been absolutely destroyed, from Soviet Union to Venezuela, right? Dozens of them. Any person who imbibed it has turned out to be a genocidal mass murderer. You know, from Stalin to Mao to Che Guevara, not to that extent, but to Pol Pot. So they know this, and yet they profess it. So they have this kind of an inferiority complex within them, ingrained. And we're not so sure about what we're saying. But outwardly, they're so confident. I mean, if there's one thing you have to learn from these guys, is knowing that they are wrong. They have this public image of being so confident. Idea failed though, yeah. You know, it's like, wow, I'm right. And this is what these guys are doing to now these platforms. But the virtue of being called a platform is simply that all trains should be allowed to come to that platform, right? You can't decide. Otherwise, it's not a platform anymore by definition. And this is what these guys are doing because they're scared. You know, it's this is mind control, very Orwellian. And I think our government is so silly that it doesn't. The tragedy is that, look, this government also, like all previous governments before it, has been restricting free speech. So it is not sab koi doodh ka dhula nahi hai. If I have a thread of the trampling of freedom of speech under Congress, I have a thread of trampling of FOS under BJP as well. It's not 275 tweets strong, it's 50 or 70 tweets, but everyone is doing it. So the point is, BJP, many right-wingers rightly say that, they use that meme from Gangs of Wasipur that has a kind of an abuse. So I'm not going to use that, but they use that meme for the BJP ministers. You know, ab to jaag ja, Ravi Shankar Prasad and Prakash Javadekar. You know, they call I don't know what name. But they won't wake up because none of the ministers, BJP ministers, or none of the powerful ministers have ever been banned by Twitter, right? None of them are as crazy in their views or professing them as Donald Trump. They're not mad. I mean, that guy was a complete mad guy. So they know that they would never be banned. So it doesn't affect them. What they don't realize that Modi is not setting the narrative. The daily narrative on social media is being set by people who are fighting for ideas, for right-wing ideas, for ideological ideas, left-wing ideas, fighting them. Fighting is not being done by Modi and by Prakash Javadekar and by R.S. Prasad. They are unaffected by it. So they would go to Twitter meetings and they would, there's photo ops. I met Jack, all these things. The real guys who are being tortured by this kind of platform, becoming, editors, playing God, are the guys who are fighting their ideological battles for the BJP, for the right thing. And these guys are unaware of it. And when you ban someone, for example, so many cases, right? I mean, through Endology comes to mind. The fellow has been banned 5-6 times. It's ridiculous. The first time he was banned was his tweet showed an image of Goddess Durga, unflattering image of Goddess Durga, but he was showing it because that was part of a poster, a communist poster. He tweeted that. They banned him. They banned me, but that was for 10 days. But they banned so many. I mean, they banned Jaggi. He had to remove, his post on Chanakya. What Chanakya said is not what Jaggi said. It was Chanakya said. They banned Ajit Bharti. Okay, he's Op India. This thing. So it's almost as if BJP ki aankhein band hai. Matlab, I'm not saying that they should come down hard on Twitter and say, look, we are going to ban you. But the point is, they have to realize that they are not the guys who are at the front line. Javadekar, Ravi Shankar Prasad, ab to jaag jao. Maybe I'm not using the full form of the meme. So, please don't ban me from this podcast. But you know what that meme says. Ab to jaag jao, you are not being affected by Twitter. Twitter is not going to ban you. But Twitter is banning those who are fighting your battle. When will you realize this? Kab jagoge bhai? People like Ajit Bharti have been banned for 3 months. For what? For quoting a fact about Islam. So many, true Indology, every month the fellow is banned. Do you not realize that, people who fight, do you have no conscience? So I think India should come out and say that, look, all your rules that are valid may be valid in America, but your rules for playing God, for editorializing, for saying I'm going to ban this, I'm going to ban that, are not going to be valid if you are going to function in India. Okay, it has to be all. Let me also tell you a rational argument against this, Roshan. That is that many people say the leftist favorite retort is, "Arey bhai, you don't like Twitter, you quit Twitter." And that is such a childish and juvenile argument, which obviously them being leftist, I don't expect anything better. But the point is, if today Twitter had these 200 rules, and I was new to Twitter, I got to know of Twitter today, and I said, "Would you join Twitter with these 300 rules?" I probably wouldn't. The fact is, when I joined Twitter, Twitter had 2 rules. There were none of these things that we will ban you if you, for example, if you draw a metaphor or an analogy between a religion and an animal. Twitter says we would ban you. So you can't call a religion, a vermin or something like that, a rat or something. These idiots don't even realize that, one of the holy books has called every non-believer as an ape. As I think the thing is, there is a way out. The way is very simple. I mean, you can have all leftists and die-hard communists with blood on their hands who've taken part in riots being in charge of Twitter. But if the government of India says that, look, it is you are going to operate in India if you have no rules, and anyone, if you simply remain a platform, and any incriminating thing that anybody does using your platform is obviously subject to the government of India, the IPC rules, right? So you are not the arbiter. Let the IPC, let the courts of India judge whether that person needs to be banned or not. This is a simple thing that the government must come and do. So it doesn't matter if it's been run by leftists or communists or Marxists. It doesn't matter, because if they are helpless, if they can't decide, if the only deciding, adjudicating body is the Indian courts and the Indian laws, what can these guys do? They'll be exposed in a minute if they are still banning in spite of the government saying this. But the government won't do it because it doesn't affect them, and it's one of those silly things that politics, it changes you. You're no longer with the you no longer face the ground. And I'm not completely I'm not saying that the thing is completely lopsided, because there are still people youngsters who know the vibes, who can feel the the air around them, like Tejasvi Surya. He's been taking this forward. He's wanting to do things and kind of correct what rubbish Twitter is doing. But other than that, I mean, BJP has thousands of people other than Tejasvi Surya or maybe a few others. Nobody is making a thing. I mean, they held a parliamentary hearing where Jack refused to come. What happened after that? Nothing, Whereas you see all these Jack and they make a beeline and they're scared shit going to Senate House hearings. So we are a weak country in that sense. And that stems from a complex. We're not sure about what we want to do.
Right.
And that's the real tragedy, because so many people would be put under the bus. People like True Indology, people like so many people who all they want to do is to put their, as you said, a marketplace of ideas. So these are the people who want to put their ideas into the marketplace. Let people decide whether they want to buy those ideas or not. And in a way, BJP is hurting them more than hurting the leftists. But so you can't do anything.
Right.